Ladies and gentlemen, authorities, welcome to the 11th Conference on Bioethics. This time it will be virtual due to the pandemic worldwide. We will now give the floor to Mr. Marcelo Palacios Alonso, President of the Scientific Committee of the SIBI and organizer of this Congress, or World Conference, rather. Good morning. Thank you very much, Beatriz, for the kind introduction and your smart collaboration all these years when organizing this World Congress or conference. Participants of the panel, Mayor, Regional Minister, Rector, President of the Chamber of Commerce. Good morning to you all. The pandemic by coronavirus that started at the end of 2019 has resulted in crisis, a health crisis and economic crisis that will be subject to studies. And in two occasions, we had to delay or postpone this Congress. The topic of the Congress is a world agreement on the rational and responsible use of biotechnologies in medicine and environment. Taking into account some scientific advances and outcomes and the implications and impact on human health and always related to human rights, we thought that it was necessary to go towards a worldwide commitment, a new existential philosophy, a new responsibility philosophy that makes us take into account all these aspects from an ethical standpoint, and so that all these aspects also lead to a reliable information, a public debate, world record or register, and the registering of all these biotechnologies, taking into account the precautionary principle. And a scientific and social control, as well as a political one, which are necessary to ensure all these policies as acceptable. Sometimes these prerequisites are not being complied with independently of what the UNESCO Universal Declarations on Human Rights, Science, and the use of scientific know-how point out. The Convention of the European Council on Human Rights and Biomedicine. I am a speaker of that Congress or that event that will take place in Asturias to sign that document, and many other aspects that try to ensure security and safety of people, and so that they are also protected in terms of environment and human rights. Sometimes this is being neglected. Science and technology come up or result from the society, and they have to be intertwined with society. There are many essential topics on the human beings, and this World Conference tries to find that commitment of joint responsibility, taking into account the severe deficits in the society, and that they do not go further or they do not develop further, causing more harm. For a long time, we have been concerned about environmental pollution. The main problem or concern of humanity is the ethical pollution. For some time, for some years, this ethical pollution is manifested in poverty, unfairness, violence, inequalities, and all those issues that harm nature and environment. And therefore, in this situation in which the environment may be subject to more violence due to the pollution that we are provoking, we should try to implement measures to avoid it. Human being is the only body that consumes a non-food energy. It is the energy mainly coming from fossils that are extracted from the soil. And it has become a factory animal, and as any other factory or plant is producing substances or products that are positive for humanity, but also waste and elements that are harmful. In this sense, we have to assess to what extent all the actions we implement are towards the protection of the human being and the environment. Here we all are guilty. Yeah, it's not enough to say that only the big companies or the big countries are the guilty ones, no? The ones that take the 70% of the pollution, but we also, with our everyday actions, are contributing towards the pollution. And even those people who are suffering and are, well, embedded in that misery, and they have to chop down the few trees that are left in their countries, they are also contributing towards the pollution. But the society needs a new awareness, a new existential philosophy, as I mentioned before, trying to have a responsible behavior. In this conference, I hope the conclusions that are reached go in the line of those contexts referred to before, so that those contents are respected and the worldwide commitment can become a reality in a near future. I hope your debates are very positive during this World Conference. And now we will give the floor to the other participants of the presidential panel. We will now give the floor to the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Felix Baracaño. Thank you very much. Marcelo Palacios, President of the SIBI, Mayor of Gijón, Regional Minister for Science of the Principality of Asturias, Rector of the University of Oviedo, Mr. Ignacio Villaverde, and other authorities, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all. We would also like to greet the participants and organizers of the World Conference on Bioethics, and this is a great honor for me because of the importance of the event. 11 editions that were hosted here in Gijón at this Congress Palace, and this is a proof of the good results obtained in the past. And it has been a very fruitful Congress throughout the years. One of the main concerns we've always had in the Chamber of Commerce of Gijón is to offer spaces and proposals for any kind of social debate in such a way that we obtain responses or that improve our environment. Obviously, the severe crisis resulting from COVID-19 has obliged us to change our rhythms, styles of life, and try to adapt to the new situation. Proof of that is that this Congress is being held virtually. I know that it is always better to have a closer and human contact, but what is important is that the International Society of Bioethics and the participants of the Congress continue providing us with knowledge. Right now, when faced by pandemic, we have done things that we had never imagined before. In our case, just to give you a couple of examples, we had to call off many of our fairs and congresses for the first time since 1965. As you already know, we had to call off the International Fair of Asturias, the exhibition fair. But on the other hand, we had the honor to host here at the main pavilion the installation of the hospital called H94 under the leadership of the Regional Ministry for Health. We are very proud of having collaborated with the Regional Ministry for Health, and we congratulated ourselves on the public-private relationship and collaboration. I am referring to this because as President of the Chamber of Commerce of Gijón and therefore representing the businesses here in Gijón, I think that the joint collaboration should result in the improvement of sustainability of our environment and the welfare. Thus, I fully identify with the objective of this 11th World Conference on Bioethics, where practices and criteria of biotechnology will be tackled. Among others, bioengineering, cloning, or synthetic biology. All these disciplines may change our lives in a radical way, and that's why the Congress wants to act on these 3 lines of actions, trying to offer reliable information to the society, open up a public debate, and to have social, economic, and political controls that are necessary. Debates of highest interest and need. Society is demanding responses to old and new problems, and science can face many of these issues. The approach will influence in a decisive way in the life we will live for our children and grandchildren. I will conclude by thanking the organizers, the tribute paid to our Asturian scientist Margarita Salas, who always combined her professional career with a strong commitment with her land of origin, no, Asturias. And this is something also done by the president of the SIBI, Mr. Marcelo Palacios. Congratulations, Marcelo, for this on this new conference, World Conference, and I wish you a lot of success. And I hope we meet again in the 12th edition next year. And we hope that face-to-face or in a mixed way, giving the possibility to participate virtually or also here presentially. Thank you very much to you all for listening. Thank you so much, Mr. President of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Navigation of Gijón. Now we will give the floor to the Regional Ministry for Science, Innovation and University of the Government of the Principality of Asturias, Mr. Borja Sanchez, on behalf of the President of the Government. Thank you very much, Marcelo. Meya, President of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Navigation in Gijón, President of the Scientific Committee of the SIBI, speakers and participants, online participants to this Congress. First of all, welcome on behalf of the Government of Asturias and the President. Unfortunately, he could not make it because he had other commitments in his agenda. Thank you very much to the SIBI and the promoter, Mr. Marcelo Palacios, for the intensive work and for giving me the opportunity to share some minutes with you. Also, I would like to address all those people who are listening to us from abroad.
The World Conference on Bioethics, the name of the government of the President. We are fortunate to have the support of a great selection of speakers. I hope you will get their conference.
Ponentes que seguro que van a disfrutar durante los próximos 3 días. Cambiar otra vez a castellano. This international event on bioethics is very meaningful because it takes place every 2 years and it places Asturias in a scientific international poll. And the result of it all are many important declarations. Today, just the mere fact of having the Congress in this new format and opening it officially with experts from worldwide, and even though it is a virtual format, it really reflects that we are about to overcome the pandemic and we will go back to a new normal or normality, different from the old normality. And this event also touches me personally because of the figure awarded with the award SIBI 2021, Margarita Salas, and also because we have her daughter here, Lucia, who will get the award on her behalf. when we met, her mother was there just some days before the pandemic started. To see you again here, Lucia, reaffirms my trust that we are just about to overcome this pandemic. A year ago, the organization had to put off the Congress when almost everything had been organized, but we start here today with the same objective to reach an international agreement on the reasonable use of biotechnologies in the biotechnology and the environment. However, we should not neglect everything that has happened this year. However, it should be useful to reaffirm the role of science. In just some months, we have achieved something that we could have never imagined, that is to transfer all that research in the format of a product that has allowed us to start overcoming this pandemic. Effective vaccines have been developed against that virus that has killed many people. This national participation has been very relevant with the development of or implementation of different actions by the CSIC, our main research institute in Spain. Furthermore, I'd like to recall that in just some months, the scientific knowledge was transferred. Society has witnessed that correlation and causality. So the positive impact of vaccination is there, and we are all witness of that. And thanks to those vaccines, we can go back to our old lives. So science has done its work, not only by developing the vaccines, but also because of the vanguard research projects led by the university, biosanitary institutes and entities, and thanks to all the public-private collaboration or partnership. As I was saying, science has responded in an agile and accurate way, and now it is our turn. We have to ensure and safeguard these policies, these actions, so that this knowledge is disseminated. I am about to conclude because there are other people who will have to take the floor. And I am sure that speakers will provide us with great contributions. In the case of medicine and environment, we have different fields, pharmacokinetics, animal biotechnology, but there is also an impact on agro-food and agro-sustainability of the planet. As you can see, all these topics are very much related to the strategic priorities of Europe, not only to ensure our future, but also to build it up. And in the end of these transitions, the ecological one, especially what we want is a better planet. These events that open up a new window to the world get us closer to our disciplines, but also Asturias becomes the heart of the world. Asturias is huge in terms of talent and scientific know-how. Our rector of the University of Oviedo knows this very well. So I encourage all the participants to guide us, to help us in that path towards the construction of a better society. I hope you have a fruitful Congress, and if you cannot be here, you have the possibility of visiting Gijón, our host city, and also Asturias very soon. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Regional Minister. Now we give the floor to the magnificent Rector of the University of Oviedo, Mr. Ignacio Villaverde. Good morning to you all. Thank you very much, Mayor, Regional Minister, President of the Chamber of Commerce, President of the SIBI. For me, it is a great honor and a pleasure to be here and to address some words. Good morning to speakers, guests, friends. Adam Smith thought that people go into science with the hope of trying to, well, feed our imagination. We always try to find answers to continue with our life. That is why questions are always in the air, and ethics and science are always there. We try to find explanation and common sense to give an answer to whatever we do not understand or we cannot understand. Science appeals reasoning, and ethics appeals our moral, our responsibility of reasoning human beings, and both of them are in life. One to try to unmask it, and the other one to try to make us responsible for what we say and we do. Both of them to survive to uncertainty. Maybe that is why there is a transition between science and ethics. There is no science without responsibility, without reasoning what we do and why we're doing it and what for. And also with an aim at explaining the universe. We have a commitment with the environment surrounding us and with the future civilizations. There is no science without commitment. In university, we have to convey this way of doing science. And ethics and science have to go hand in hand. Margarita Salas, we are paying tribute to her at this World Conference, is one of the best examples of that commitment between science, ethics, responsibility of a great human being, Professor Salas. That is why it's so necessary and fruitful our collaboration with the SIBI. Today becomes a reality again at this 11th World Conference on Bioethics. Again, this illustrates that close collaboration between vocation on the future and the generation of know-how, and also being aware and responsible in terms of the limits that sometimes have to be set. Congratulations to the organizers on this World Conference in pandemic times, but I think it is a proof that we are going back to our old lives or our new normality. Congratulations, welcome, and have a very fruitful Congress. Thank you very much. We cannot hear because the mic is not on. I'm sorry, we cannot offer simultaneous interpreting because the microphone is not working. We will now give the floor to Ms. Ana González, the Mayor of Gijón, who will officially open the Congress. Members of the Scientific Committee, President of the Chamber of Commerce, Regional Minister for Innovation, University and Science of the Principality of Asturias, Rector, my dear Marcelo, speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Since 1997, this city, Gijón, is proud of hosting the of being the headquarters of the SIBI, entity that was born in order to promote science, knowledge, and debates. There is an essential dialogue that gets science and technology involved, law, human sciences, and political action in all spheres, institutional, collective, individual spheres, and it should also give way and embrace all the citizenship, because we are just simply talking about human rights. We are talking about human rights, and the basis is life of all individuals, life understood as the guarantor to develop a vital project in freedom with justice and equality, without ethical pollution, as our dear Marcelo mentioned before. And for that, to talk about life of individuals, we have to talk about the environment, life of the environment. Throughout these 23 years, SIBI has been extraordinarily active in that field where it is important to pose questions, address urgencies, and facilitate answers at a time when it has become obvious the high value of scientific research and the burden in our lives, the weight in our lives, and all that without forgetting our positioning in this natural environment that has been threatened, and without forgetting the impact of scientific and technological development in a fairer world, and committed with the human rights of all the individuals on the planet. That is why it is a pleasure to welcome you, even if it is virtually, and when faced by the pandemic, to all the participants of the 11th World Conference on Bioethics, focusing on the responsible use of biotechnologies in the field of environment. Besides the different presentations, the Congress has set up an ambitious target to define a world commitment that links the research work in those fields to the responsibility that should guide us without losing sight of the society we are working for and the environment. It is a very open dialogue because the President of the United States, Mr. Biden, has introduced another element in this ethical reflection on science and health. Scientific areas and the perspectives of the program are so diverse and so rich as the ethical debate itself. Biotechnology, healthcare, artificial intelligence, the protection of oceans, the pandemic as well. I am sure that the quality of the presentations will provide us with new lines of action for researchers, and with the dissemination will contribute to the objective of the program to try to promote the responsibility. And without this responsibility, we could not face with success all these issues, and we could not give response to all the challenges. Thank you very much for participating at this Congress, and I invite you to come to Gijón and leave the city of Gijón. It is a diverse city and also very compact city with a sea that has made Gijón a brilliant city, a city that defends everyday human rights. Congratulations to the scientific committee on the organization. But let me highlight the work by Marcelo Palacios. It would not be ethical not to do it. It would not be good not to acknowledge that SIBI is what it is because of the work of many people, but above all, because of the leadership and the determination of Mr. Marcelo Palacios. Thank you very much. And I will conclude with some words to the person who is going to receive a tribute here, our beloved Margarita Salas, who is an example of an excellent scientist, but also excellent human being and excellent ethical person, committed with the values supported by the SIBI. And they should support also scientific work in any field and any time. I hope that you have very fruitful conference, enriching conference, because there is a lot at stake. Officially open the 11th World Conference.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mayor, for your generous words. But thank you, above all, to you, but also to all of those who believe in our task. Thank you to everyone who is supporting us in one way or another at these times. And I would like to extend my gratitude to the City Hall of Gijón. It wouldn't be ethical not to recognize the efforts that the City Hall has put in. The SIBI is seen as a asset, as an asset of the city with the work that it carries out. Before giving the floor to Ms. Rosa Menendez, I would like to thank all the speakers coming from 14 different countries who will be addressing our audience in the upcoming days. And I would like to thank the moderators as well. Thank you to all the participants, and be it in person or online. Thank you very much to all of you. Now, I will give the floor to Ms. Rosa Menendez, who is the president of the Spanish Scientific Research Council and a doctor in chemistry, and she will talk about ethics and bioethics at the SISIC, a 15-year experience. Ms. Rosa, Dr. Menendez, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Marcelo. Dear all authorities, in-person, virtual participants, dear colleagues and friends. First and foremost, I would like to thank the SIBI, and especially Marcelo, for the invitation to be here with all of you, even if remotely. Dear Mayor, I would have loved to be there in Gijón enjoying your sea, your people, and your food. I am also happy and delighted to be a witness of this tribute to Margarita Salas. I'm truly delighted, and I'm happy, Lucia, dear Lucia, that you are there on the stage with everyone. Without further ado, I will delve into the topic of my presentation, of my talk, Ethics and Bioethics at the Spanish Scientific Research Council, the SISIC, a 15-year experience. As all of you know, the SISIC is one of the fundamental pillars of the Spanish scientific, technological, and innovative environment or universe. These numbers have to be updated. They are from 2019. We have more than 10,000 people working at the SISIC. As some of you know, the Spanish Oceanography Institute has been incorporated into the SISIC, as well as the National Agricultural Research Center and the Mining Research Institute. All of them have become part of the SISIC with their respective headquarters, departments, and so on. And we are looking forward to incorporating all of them as effectively and efficiently as possible. We are going to be around 13,000 people at the SISIC very soon. We are spread throughout the country with over 120 centers. More specifically, in Asturias, there are 4 research centers, 5 if you include the Spanish Oceanography Institute, the IEO. So very soon, there will be 5 SISIC research centers in the region of Asturias with only SISIC staff. But there are other centers, a great deal of them, which are mixed and joined. They are managed jointly with the regional governments. We believe in this collaboration and cooperation to push the technological and scientific progress forward. At the SISIC, we work in almost all areas of knowledge, spanning from humanities to theoretical physics. We have 3 global areas: society, materials, and life. The projects that we carry out are framed within national, European, and also international projects, as well as partnerships with the private sector. We collaborate very closely with businesses in 2019, or by 2019, around 3,800 research projects had been conducted. In order to manage all of these work, we have a steering committee and a presidency that are supported by three vice presidencies, a general secretariat, and a cabinet. And stemming from that cabinet, we have the Women and Science Commission, the Scientific Consulting Committee, and also, as many of you know, we also have our own ethics committee. The ethics committee was created in 2007 as a part of the regulation governing the SIBI, and it's comprised of 12 participants, and it's a cross-cutting commission spanning from humanities to robotics and many other topics. The chairman is Mr. Luis Montoliu, who is attending this conference, and the vice president is Karma Torres, and we also have Ms. Salas coming from the legal field. We have two subcommittees, the Bioethics Committee and the Conflict Committee. The former aims at protecting the quality of the practices and procedures used in research with human beings, human being samples, data coming from human and GMOs, genetically modified organisms, with all of the implications they have with regards to biosafety. And the conflict subcommittee deals with ethical conflicts, anything that could be a matter of discussion or debate, or anything that is a deviation of good scientific practice. The ethics committee is supported by an entire structure, which is the Department of Ethics in Research. This department was created in 2015, and it's also adhered to the CSIC presidency. Amongst their tasks, they provide legal support to the ethics committee and its subcommittees. They manage the ethical assessment of research in any kind of project. They implement tools to reinforce scientific integrity. And of course, they draw up reports, they conduct studies and technical, legal, as well as statistical analysis. Within the action criteria of the ethics committee, there is independence, impartiality, and confidentiality. It's independent because it doesn't participate in the hierarchy or the decision-making processes of the CC. The members of the committee take on a full commitment to stay away from any decisions where they could have a conflict of interest. As pertains confidentiality, they must protect and comply with secrecy in all of their activities. all of them have signed a non-disclosure, a confidentiality agreement. As to their functions, we have research, a promotion of scientific integrity. I think all of us are fully aware of the importance of these two issues, the ethical assessment of research and the promotion of scientific integrity. And we can see that globally. I am the vice president of an institution that is also working around these two pillars when it comes to scientific research and development. As for ethical assessment of research, and I'm going to mention this several times, we work around research with human beings, biological samples from human beings, research with animals, research with hazardous biological substances, animals, but also other fields. There are areas that need to be subject to control, to ethical evaluation. New technologies such as nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, robotics, the environment, which is one of the fundamental topics of this World Conference, but also social sciences must be subject to ethical assessment, as well as many others. For the ethical assessment, we have the valuable collaboration of evaluating or reviewing experts who cooperate with our committee. And the second pillar is the promotion of scientific integrity, a responsible behavior in research, and the eradication of bad scientific practices. As for the former, the evaluation of ethical aspects in research at the CSIC, with regards to this, we have drafted an ethical assessment procedure that has been updated, and the latest version was approved or passed on the last session of the committee. It includes institutional instructions for ethical assessment of the research at the CSIC, and also a form to request ethical assessment for projects with animal experimentation. Just to give you an overview, as has been mentioned earlier, 2020 has been a very special year due to the pandemic. You can see on the screen the number of evaluations conducted by our committee, and you can see that for the year 2020, it has increased significantly, moving from around 300 to over 600 evaluations. As for the second aspect, scientific integrity, this includes promotion of good scientific practices and responsible behavior in research, the eradication of bad practices, any kind of conduct that is unacceptable in research. Also, prevention, detection, and management of conflicts of interest, as long as they represent a risk and a threat to scientific integrity. The procedure for conflict management by the ethics committee of the CSIC is in its fifth version already. And this is just to show that the committee is moving along with the reality, with science. You know that reality can change from one day to the other. just overnight. So we need to keep up with society and with real life as we do. The committee is a consulting body of the presidency of the CSIC, and it has no executive capacity. As for the conflicts that have been dealt with around scientific integrity, there have been a total of 143. We will take a look at each of them later on. The conflicts that have been addressed come from different areas: duplication, alteration of images or figures, falsifying CVs, false identities, forfeiting, copying text, copying experimental data and conclusions, copying other sort of data, plagiarism in general. As for conflicts of interest, the participation of scientific staff in spin-offs or startups, the cooperation with third-party bodies, using the name of the CC when expressing personal opinions or belonging to staff selection bodies and commissions, such as in state exams. As for conflicts of authorship, omission of authors of relevant papers, non-fundamented authorship demands, among others. As for the inadequate leadership, neglecting tasks or functions during work, or a negligent or abusive leadership, mainly as directing doctoral thesis, requesting for the director to be changed or replaced by the PhD student, conflicts between the student and their director, which may result in negative consequences for the PhD thesis, and so on. And then we have another topic, miscellaneous field, which includes inefficient management of resources, incidences or deviations in the while contracting personnel, etc., etc. The CSIC is, as I was saying before, a large institution with over 13,000 people currently, and so we try for the ethics committee to be fully engaged and involved in helping us make science progress with coherence and avoiding all problems. I can tell you, and I can ensure that the work of the ethics committee is very intensive. It participated in the National Declaration on Scientific Integrity. It also participated in drafting the Good Scientific Practices Code and the Manual on Conflict of Interest of the CC. The National Declaration of on Scientific Integrity was passed in 2015, and the National Declaration on Scientific Integrity, which you know very well, it works in areas or it deals with topics such as reliability of research results, methodology, authorship, knowledge transfer, evaluation, uh, conflicts of interest, integrity policies. To sum up, anything that is directly involved or related with scientific integrity. As for the good practices code drafted by the CSIC and periodically reviewed or revised, the last revision is from this year, 2021. It's pending publication. I'm showing the table of contents of this code, which is facilitated by the work of the ethics committee, and I can tell you that the entire steering committee of the CSIC is involved and has fully supported the drafting of this document. These good practices or code of good practices sets a number of principles, declarations, and commitments which are applicable to the entire personnel at the CSIC and in all areas. It it provides guidelines for leadership, scientific collaborations, and the creation, protection, evaluation, and dissemination of results. It determines the value that must be promoted by the institution. It encourages a high quality research, and it also prevents deviations and dysfunctions while researching. The ethics committee at the CSIC is also active in different networks such as the European Network Integrity Offices. Let me tell you that we are the only Spanish member and founding partner of this network, and we are truly proud of our international engagement, and we are trying to reinforce it as much as possible. Our ethics committee also participates in the Science Europe Working Group on Research Integrity. It was a member until April 2017. I must tell you that it's going to get involved in the future too, because new task forces are being created, new strategies are being devised with regards to ethics and research integrity. Something that is also very important and where our committee is also participating is this course on good scientific practices in collaboration with the uh, General Foundation CSIC. It's held 4 times a year, including science and scientific research, design and execution of research, experimental design and statistics, integration of the researcher in the scientific system, ethical aspects, scientific dissemination, scientific integrity, responsible behavior in research, among many, many others. And these courses are vital, especially for young people. All scientists who start their career or their training, it's important for all of them to have a basic knowledge, to have a good foundation of good scientific practices. This is the end of my presentation. I would like to thank you once again for inviting me, for allowing me to be here today and I would have loved to travel to Gijón, but Marcelo, we will do this. I will travel there next time. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias, doctora Menéndez.
Thank you very much, Dr. Menendez, for your wonderful intervention, which is an asset for our conference. And thank you very much for touching upon the enormous work carried out by the CSIC and the bioethical and ethical controls that you conduct in research and the area of scientific knowledge. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to have you with us, and definitely an honor for all of us to listen to your words. Thank you very much.
A continuación procedemos.
Now we will award the SIBI prize to Professor Margarita Salas. Before I will say a few words about Margarita, Professor Salas died in November 2019 at the age of 80. She had a wonderful background as a biochemist, and more specifically in discovering the RNA polymerase of a virus that was presented in the US in 1989 and 1997 in Europe by the CSIC. And this wonderful discovery by Ms. Salas provided a great financial revenue for the CSIC. Ms. Salas remained adamant about adapting to changing times and creating scientists that were fully responsible and committed with the demands of society and Europe and the world. Professor Salas was passionate about science and research. She worked very hard on bringing women into science and overcoming the hurdles that they encountered along the way. She thought that women and men were fully equal and able to develop in science and knowledge, and she fought continuously for a role of women in society and in science. She was a student of brilliant figures such as Dr. Severo Ochoa, and then she became a wonderful teacher, a wonderful lecturer that was highly enriching for many students throughout her career. She was generous and responsible. She wanted to transfer her knowledge, and she wanted her students to feel part of a common reality. In 1999, Dr. Salas honored us with or by joining the International Society for Ethics. And she was a candidate for the Príncipe of Asturias prize a few years later. And I find out later on that it was decided that Ms. Salas had too many prizes already, but I don't think this was true. And today we will pay tribute to her as a scientist and a human being with this prize. She participated in many conferences and international symposia, traveling continuously, but she never ceased to work with the SIBI. She held the inaugural address of the fifth SIBI conference, the theme of which was freedom and responsibility in research. She will not be present today in the 11th World Conference on Bioethics, as we agreed 2 years ago. But she is definitely in our hearts and our minds, and she will be represented by her daughter, Lucia, who will be accepting the prize. She will be always around in our conferences, and her spirit will most definitely hover over our events. I would like to thank her for her Herculean efforts, for her intelligence, for her work, for everything that she made possible, both as a woman and a scientist in a society that was still somewhat reluctant to provide women with the same opportunities, the same challenges. We thank you for your teachings. We thank you for your efforts and your humble wisdom.
And now, please, her daughter, Miss Lucia Viñuela Salas, can get closer because we want to give her some gifts. This is the 2021 award as a tribute to Professor Margarita Salas. Unfortunately, Dr. Marcelo Salas is not using a microphone, so it will be impossible to translate. Apologies, but we cannot translate because they are not using a microphone, so we have no audio. The rector of the university also wants to join us, and the university is going also to give her a gift. Unfortunately, we cannot translate because we can hardly hear what they are saying. They are not using microphones, so we have no audio here in the interpreting booth, I'm afraid.
Haría que la uni-
Yeah, I'm sure the University of Oviedo and the rector will probably also pay tribute to your mom. I think the rector knows very well how much my mom loved the University of Oviedo. And now Mr. Felix Maragaño, President of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Navigation of Gijón, also wants to give her a gift in memory of her mother. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we cannot interpret everything because they are not using microphones. So please now, if all the members of the panel come here, maybe you want to go to the stand because she wants to address us some words. We can take the picture later on with her. This is Miss Lucia Viñuela Salas, who is the daughter of Professor Margarita Salas. Well, I'll see if I am able, because I am thrilled and going to be difficult. Anyway, Mayor of Gijón, Regional Minister for Science, Innovation and University of the Principality of Asturias, Rector of the University of Oviedo, President of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Navigation of Gijón, President of the Scientific Committee of the SIBI and organizer of this 11th World Conference on Bioethics, authorities, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to be here today in Gijón, receiving this award given by the SIBI, granted to my mom, Margarita Salas, who left us a year and a half ago, and she used to enjoy so much herself with the teaching and research. And I have to admit that it was great to see that the previous conference was by Rosa Menendez, President of the Spanish Scientific Research Council and a doctor in chemistry, who was a very close friend of my mom. Thank you very much, Rosa, for your love. Also, I want to thank very especially the initiative by the President of the Scientific Committee of the SIBI for promoting this award to Margarita Salas. Also, thank you very much to the members of the scientific members. As you can imagine, this award I received with a lot of love and tender because of the personal meaning. I have to acknowledge that I am thrilled that this Congress is held in Gijón, and although Margarita was not born here, she was adopted by Gijón, because in 1939, after the Civil War, when my mom was only 1 year of age, my maternal grandfather, psychiatrist, came with the family to Gijón, and here he opened a hospital for mental disorders at the number 161 of the Avenida General Moyo, just opposite to the bullfighting ring, and where my mom spent all her childhood and the first teenagers years. And then at 16, she left for Madrid to study chemistry at the University Complutense. I'd like that this award to my mom is also given to all persons, women and men, who devote their time, effort, and passion, that is their life, to the service of education, research, and training. My mom declared many times that she did not see herself outside research, because research was her life. That is why I, as her daughter, commit myself to keep alive her scientific legacy. I'd also like to thank very much the City Council of Gijón. And here I have to thank Ms. Paz Fernández Fergueroso, the former mayor of Gijón, also a very close friend of my mom, who sometimes, some years ago, she had thought of the name of Margarita Salas for one of the streets of Gijón. And thank you very much to Ana González, who is currently the mayor of Gijón, for preserving this wish. Thank you very much to you both. I'd like to tell you that after my mom died, and as a result of a proposal of 3 of her students, Cristina Mandeina, Jesús and Jesus Blanco, a new initiative came up, the implementation of the Foundation Margarita Salas, that from the very first beginning had the support of the CSIC and the Autonomous University of Madrid, the 2 institutions Margarita worked with and for, but also the these came from 3 autonomous communities that were very close to Margarita. the Community of Madrid, the Regional Government of Extremadura, and the Autonomous Community of Asturias. So from here, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much to you all. I'd like to share with you that although we are still working on the processes to start up this foundation, I have to give you good news. We have worked a lot, and after 8 months and a half, finally, we already have the authorization to register the name of the foundation, Margarita Salas, and we have the okay, the green light to the statutes. So the fact that in times of the pandemic we have achieved this, it is a great challenge. And therefore, we hope that the foundation, Margarita Salas, becomes a reality in a very near future. My wish is that we can officially open it next fall. In fact, we would love the official opening to be in November, because November is a very special month for Margarita. Margarita was born on the 30th of November, and she also died in November, on the 7th of November. In that date, also the award, the Nobel Prize winner or award winner also was born in this month. What are the aims of this foundation, Margarita Salas? Well, first of all, to keep alive her scientific legacy and to try to disseminate her profile as a researcher. But we cannot forget other two objectives that were fundamental for her. That is to awaken scientific willingness and research among the kids, but also to promote the research projects of students. I would not like to finish without expressing my deepest thanks to all the collaborators my mom had throughout her 51 years of professional career, because she used to say that these, or her achievements were also their achievements. Thank you very much to all those who supported her, because as Margarita used to say, above all, my life is research. And allow me to finish by urging you and recalling that and this time it is fundamental to continue promoting research, because a country without research is a country without development, as my mom used to say. Thank you very much. And now we are going to appoint the new members of the Scientific Committee of the SIBI. Some of the members of the committee, have already accumulated some years, and we have to now give the baton to younger people. And in this case, it's two people. Firstly, the Scientific Committee has agreed to appoint as a member of the Scientific Committee Dr. Isolina Riaño, who is a pediatrist, and she works in social action, and she's very much committed to social action. Please, if you come along to receive our congratulations, Ms. Isolina Riaño Galán, a new member of the Scientific Committee. SIBI. Thank you so much. It is for me a great honor and a responsibility to join the Scientific Committee. Thank you very much to all the members of the Scientific Committee of the SIBI, and especially thank you very much to the President, Dr. Marcelo Palacios. I have been enjoying and learning from him for many years. Thank you very much, Marcelo. We cannot translate, unfortunately, his words because he's not using micro. Thank you so much. We think he said something like it is important to bring in new blood. Also, a new member of the scientific committee of the SIBI, Professor Tony Cangioni, proposed by the University of Oviedo and the rector. Authorities, for me as a humble cultivator of bioethics, it is a great honor to become a member of the scientific committee of the SIBI. Thank you very much to Dr. Palacio, and thank you very much, of course, to my dear rector of the University of Oviedo for the trust. And I just hope that I can keep up the level that you all deserve. Thank you very much. And the scientific committee of the SIBI has another member, representative of the university, Professor Jesus Aquilino Fernandez, who is also secretary of the scientific committee. He is in the SIBI since it was founded. He has been in the SIBI since it was founded, so he is very much respected by all the rectors who left us. So undoubtedly, you are also a representative of the university. You are a great professor and also very much devoted to bioethics. So if the mayor of Gijón officially closes this official opening ceremony, and after that, we are going to visit an exhibition, the SIBI exhibition, where you will find very interesting things. Those of you who are following us from your homes, you can now, have a look at the video of that exhibition that will be shown. So Mayor of Gijón can now close this official opening ceremony. Thank you very much to all participants here and on screen. Thank you very much to the authorities. Thank you very much to the two new members of the scientific committee. Thank you very much to Margarita Salas, of course, because after all, this has a lot to do with her and what she was like. And I can tell you, Lucia, that you've done very well for congratulating Paz Felgueroso as well, the former mayor. You know that the Mile of Knowledge also has the name of Margarita Salas. Maybe because they have studied together, the former mayor and Margarita, they have a common characteristic. They pay a lot of attention to the detail, which is very important. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to all those who have collaborated with the SIBI. Science is very important. Know-how is very relevant. All disciplines are very important, but without an ethical approach, we could be sailing in a too deep sea. Ethics allow us to have scientific development in agreement with human rights, and that is our main objective, and that is the work done by the SIBI, and the SIBI will continue working in this line of action. So thank you very much, and I wish you a fruitful conference. Thank you. And now, there is a time for a family picture, and then we will visit the exhibition.